What is going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. So today we have actually the data download right now on Japan for the brand new batch, including V2 Brook and V2 Frankie. So we can see just with the icons alone, yeah, Frankie's going to be a dual unit, which is pretty crazy. And don't get it twisted with this Chopper on this icon here. Chopper is not included in this general Frankie character. It's just the fact that, you know, Frankie has the motorcycle, and then, you know, Usopp and Chopper were inside the tank, and there's no, you know, overlap there between Chopper and Frankie, at least to our knowledge. That nothing in this unit states anything about Chopper, so to our knowledge, Chopper is not included in this character, so that's interesting, that why he's in the artwork in the first place. But either way, we've got the General Frankie, which is a dual unit, and we'll talk about all of their details, and we have V2 Brook, which is a brand new super class character, not a super type, super class, for the Free Spirit class, the first super free spirit character in the game. And there's two new rare recruits in Robin and Sanji, and then there's a brand new free-to-play character, which is Sasaki. This is the character that we're going to be farming for in the upcoming farming event, starting in late March, heading into April, of course. Now, as I said, this data download is currently only on Japan. When the data download arrives on global, we'll go through the Sugo Fest structure, so definitely stay tuned for that. But we're just going to talk about all of these characters first. We'll just talk about like the Frankie and the Brook, because they got some pretty interesting stuff going on. Let's start off with Brook, because he's the first one here. Shout out to Godot for posting all this information here. Shout out to Blazing Gamer for translations as well. His captain effect states that once per adventure, he protects you from defeat. So he applies like just an inbuilt resilience buff. And if there are multiple attacks in the same turn, this effect will also be applied on those attacks. So that's pretty interesting, because the thing is every other character that's had an effect that protects you from defeat, they typically only work against one enemy. When one enemy hits you and it would kill you, you survive. This time around, it says that during the turn, if there's multiple characters that are attacking you, you still survive. It sounds very, very weird. I'm not too sure how this is exactly going to work, but it sounds pretty good on paper if it works how we think it is. If it just once per adventure you just don't die, it is just ridiculous. And then reduces cooldown of the crew by 1 at the start of the quest, which is great. Boosts free spirit characters attack by 4.5 times. Health and recovery by 1.3 times is ridiculous. A lot of people undervalue how good a recovery boost is on a captain. When you get a recovery slot, you heal for so goddamn much health. This is a really good effect. He also treats quick, tandem, and recovery slots as beneficial, and if the crew has 30% or less HP, it's going to boost free spirit characters by 5 times instead. So one thing to note straight off the bat is that he's only boosting the attack of free spirit. He does not boost the attack of any other characters except for free spirit. So that's already a pretty big downside to this unit, because other superclass characters like Crocodile, Doflamingo, Katakuri, whilst yes, they provided the massive boost to one class, they actually still provided a rainbow, like a blanket 3.75 boost to all characters. Brook doesn't do that, and I think it's an okay balancing factor, especially if this resilience buff works as we think it does. That's actually going to be freaking bonkers, man. Also, more matching slots, we love that. Lots of health and recovery. Like, this is a pretty good captain. I mean, having to be below 30% health for his 5 times boost instead, not a big fan of that, but of course you're able to just tank hits to get below that threshold, because even if you would die, he'll just protect you from defeat, which is pretty cool. So the captain ability alone of Brook is interesting, though I would have preferred it if he boosted like quick free spirit and slasher characters. I think that would have made him way better, but not a bad captain ability to start things off. The special ability of Brook, which I believe was a 12-turn cooldown, reduces the cooldown of free spirit by 1. He also boosts the base attack of free spirit characters by 1000 for 1 turn, and then boosts the chain coefficient by plus 1.6 for 1 turn. And if your health is 30% or less, changes all slots including block into matching, and reduce damage taken by 95% for 1 turn. That is ridiculous. This is a really good special. Of course, you only get like the amazing effects if you're below 30% health. It's kind of annoying, but even if you're not, you still get like, I think, is that the best chain boost in the game? I think, what did Kizaru have? And Shirahoshi Manchiri, I think they ran like a 1.4 or something, right? 1.5? It's a 1.6 chain boost. That is crazy. If you just use this and you hit your, 6 perfects, the last character to attack in the chain has a 4.1 times chain, which is ridiculous. And just think of all the other things you can stack on top of it, like a chain boundary, or like the chain effect that, the Vivi Rebecca switch or Sanji Judge switch, like those type of effects on top of it. This has the potential to be absolutely bonkers, so I do like this so far. His superclass, a Straw Hat member must be in the crew. or your health is 30% or below, and it extends the duration of damage reduction buffs by 1 turn, which of course his special can potentially provide that. This one right here, 95% damage reduction, really, really good. He also increases chain coefficient buffs by 0.5 and changes Free Spirit into Super Free Spirit. So this is pretty cool because you can make his chain boost become a 2.1 times chain. Wow. So that's a bit crazy. The fact that you can get, what is that now? A 2.1, so you go to like a 4.6 times chain just by hitting 6 perfects, and again, that can be stacked with a lot of other really good effects. So, super class looks interesting, though I don't know, realistically speaking, if you're using Brook, I don't know how often you're really going to be using Brook for content, like, unless if you're just shoehorning him into content. Like, I don't see too many pieces of content that I can think of off the top of my head that this is going to be really good for. Of course, if you're up against content that has, like, a death hit, yeah, this is going to be really good for. And his special's still good. Like, I can see his special definitely be used in a lot of content. It actually works very well with the recent released Odin that came out recently. It works very, very well for that. So, he seems okay. Not like the most broken character ever, but it just seems reasonable. Support effect attaches to any straw hat, and once per adventure, if they launch their special, you get 60% damage reduction. That's not too bad. I mean, it's not the best damage reduction ever, but from a support, 60% damage reduction is pretty good. Now, PvP, this is also something that I'm very intrigued in. Quick speed and attack up level 6 for the first 40 seconds, speed level 6 down for strength. This is good. This is a really good thing for quick teams. With the release of Izo and Okiku that came out through the Treasure Map Sugo Fest, having that character plus this Brook and all the other, regular characters you would normally see, I mean, honestly, at this point, some of them may need to be taken out. I still think Kaido is really good. I still think Akainu is still ridiculously good for the things that he's able to provide. Maybe Magellan's the character that has to get booted out. Not really too sure, but this is a really, really good passive. Special 27 CT, 100% chance to apply haste to 3 quick allies. Alright, confirms it right there. Magellan, you're getting the boot. This guy is the brand new character you want on your quick team. 100% chance to apply haste to 3 quick allies. 80% chance to apply paralysis for 15 seconds in a wide range. And applies level 8 attack down to 15 for 15 seconds to strength enemies. And that applies to all strength enemies. 15-second attack down. Okay. Unfortunately, he doesn't do damage. That's obviously a big issue. However, if you have other quick characters that are surrounding him, that makes sense. He doesn't do damage, which is pretty bad. I don't like that. I wish he did at least something. Like, even like it was like 1,000 fixed damage to all enemies would have been really great, but at least he can still, he guarantees you haste on 3 quick allies. That's pretty ridiculous. That is really, really, really good. So that's the breakdown of Brook. In PvP, seems really good. In regular content, I think his special is kind of interesting. One thing that isn't listed here is his crewmate effects. I'm going to be very disappointed if his crewmate effect does not have the ability to resist special reverse. That would not make any sense. One thing that is confirmed, though, is that he does not have fear resistance. So even if he did have a crewmate effect, you still have to deal with fear whenever that comes up. So that is a little bit of a downer there. But honestly, like, Brook just seems kind of average. Let me know down below in the comment section your opinions on this character. I'm not the biggest fan of him, but he seems okay. Now, the next one we need to talk about is going to be Frankie. Now, Frankie has some crazy effects going on right here. And on initial readings, I thought he was going to be, like, literally tier 0 broken, but after, like, digesting exactly what he does, I don't think he's as broken as what I initially thought. He's going to be a good character, but this is going to be one of those characters that you don't necessarily need yourself, but if you have one as a friend captain, it's going to be pretty valuable for some of the effects that he can give your team. So let's go and have a look. So V2 Frankie is a free spirit slasher, and he is a dual unit, so one is Psi, one is Dex. So the dual captain is just absolutely insane, boosting the attack of all characters by 4x, 1.5 times health. If the character first class is a fighter, slasher, striker, or a shooter, gives them an additional 1.25 times attack. And if their first class is either one of the other 4 classes, being free spirit, cerebral, powerhouse, or driven, he gives them a 1.3 times color affinity, and then also reduces 10 turns of burn and attack down. Just that alone in the captain effect, this character is going to be so valuable just in so much content moving forward. Literally just due to that one sentence. Having that as a friend captain is so good, and the fact that he is essentially a rainbow captain means that you can use him in a lot of content just to get around burn and attack down. Specifically attack down. I mean, burn isn't as tricky to get around depending on the content, depending on the team, but attack down, being able to just passively remove so many turns of it is going to be so good, and it does, get me kind of worried as to, like, what kind of content are we going to be facing in the upcoming month of April, because I have a feeling it's going to have a lot of burn, and it's probably going to have a lot of attack down, so I'm not not excited about that. But let's just whip out the calculator here. So a 4 times boost, and if you have a fighter, slasher, striker, or a shooter unit, or as that's their first class on their list, you multiply by 1.25, giving you a 5 times attack boost. So they're going to be hitting really hard so long as their first class is one of those 4. Alternatively, if they're not, you actually get the color affinity boost, which means if you attack with type advantage, you get a 5.2 times captain instead. And of course, that does work in the opposite direction, meaning that if you do actually attack with type disadvantage, you're only going to be doing around a 3 times attack boost. So there is a downside to that, but I do like that, and a lot of people are going to say that, you know, team building for this character is going to be annoying, but I mean, realistically, if you plan for the final boss stage or you plan for the boss fights, this is going to be a really good captain effect to use in content. But of course, we have to look at their singular captain effects. So the first one is the Psy unit, which is the Black Rhino, and it's a 3.75 times attack boost instead with the health boost, but then this one will only give you the additional attack boost if one of your first classes is fighter, slasher, striker, or shooter, and also provides the attack down debuff removal, whereas the Brachio tank is a bit different, where the attack boost is the same and the health boost is the same, but instead it's going to give the color affinity boost if one of your classes or the first class on that list is going to be that instead. And then also the Brachio tank has the burn removal debuff. So I don't like this about their singular captain effect, because I would have preferred if both of them had the attack and color affinity boost, but then maybe just split up the debuffs, or have both of them have the debuffs and then split the attack boosts up, because the singular captain effects are not that great. And just due to this alone, it's going to mean that having one as a hybrid leader is going to be the best way forward. Having double Frankie, it can work fine, but I think moving forward, it's going to be a lot better if you have just one of the captains be dedicated to Frankie and the other captain dedicated to a super class or a super type, and building the team around that, because double Frankie doesn't seem that powerful, and just having the certain character up as the captain at the time to remove the certain debuff is going to be the best way forward with this unit. The special ability of Frankie is also pretty exceptional. It gives you a 30% health boost, or health recovery should I say, removes all forms of poison, boosts the attack of fighter, slasher, striker, and shooter by 2.5 times for 1 turn, and then boost the slot effects of free spirit, driven, cerebral, and powerhouse by 2.5 times for 1 turn, and then fuse into the dual unit for 3 turns. So this is great. This man by himself removes poison, gives you a health recovery, and then also provides an attack and an orb boost, and it's a 2.5 times attack boost at that. And I mean, just looking at it, you could also use like V2 Odin, for example, which can buff this to a 2.75 times attack and orb boost, which is pretty crazy. So long as you're building like a free spirit team or a slasher team around that, you could get some pretty cool stuff going on there. This is a good special, and I mean, this is the type of special that you could use in like any team. Remember, you don't have to use this character as a captain. You can use him as a sub and just get this special for free to give a 2.5 attack and an orb boost, so long as like the characters on your team have both one of the primary classes and one of the secondary classes. It's a pretty cool way to use this character. I like it for sure, and he does lots of really cool things. And then his swap effect, because remember, he is a dual unit, so his swap effect completely removes despair on himself, boosts the color affinity of all characters by 1.5, and changes his own slot into matching, and recovers 25% of the health that you took as damage when you enter the new stage. So if you switch and then you take like 1,000 damage, when you move into the next stage, you heal 250 HP. Pretty cool. And then you got the super swap, which only after 4 swaps, very, very easy to get, completely removes despair on himself, 2 times color affinity to all characters, and own slot matching, and recovers 50% of the damage received when you enter the next stage. This is a pretty good super swap. The fact that this guy by himself is a rainbow captain, provides a 2.5 attack, a 2.5 orb boost, and a 2 times color affinity. This man is the epitome of a one-man army. He just does everything by himself. It is absolutely crazy. Now, in terms of his PvP stuff, I'm a little bit disappointed here, because his free spirit, level 5 health, guard up level 5, and then Dex and side characters get level 3 defense. Now, I don't know who's developing these characters at Bandai Namco. However, these dual units that are so focused around color is the most backwards design I have seen. I mean, we saw it with Luffy and the Straw Hats. I can't remember if Roger and Newgate had it. I think they did. Robin Jimbei, I think Usopp Nami also had it. These dual units that provide a color boost. And for those that are unaware, dual units are not classified as a color in PvP, in Pyro Rumble. So why the hell are they giving them color boosts? I understand you can build teams around them in a way, but I just think this is the stupidest thing ever, and what they should do is make all of these buffs for free spirit and just tone them down a little bit. Like, yeah, having level 5 health, level 5 guard, level 3 defense for like one class, it does seem pretty broken, but if they just tone down the numbers a little bit and just make it for one class, it would be way easier to use these characters, but they decide not to do that, which is just very bizarre. It doesn't make sense. His special ability though, he gives himself level 6 defense for 20 seconds. He also provokes himself for 20 seconds and heals an ally with the lowest health by 25% of their max health on a 25 CT. This is definitely a defensively focused unit. Definitely running him on a defensive style team would make the most sense. Personally, if I ever had this unit, I don't know if I ever would build a team around him. Potentially you could have like him, V2 Odin, Yamato, and like something else on the side. That could be a pretty decent defensive team. I'm not saying it's a good defensive team, but it is a defensive team. I think this guy may be a little bit annoying to deal with, but it really depends, because applying provoke doesn't really matter that much, especially with how many good like AoE style specials that we have these days. So provoking has never really been an amazing effect in Rumble, so I don't really know how good this guy is going to be. So one other minor thing just before we end this video is we have the information for Sasaki. I don't know if we have the information for Robin and Sanji. If we don't, I'll just tell you guys about it in the next video when we get the global data download. But as for Sasaki, he has a 9-turn special cooldown and reduces increased damage taken and despair by 5 turns. That's really good. Changes all slots on free spirit and powerhouse into matching. Reduces damage received by 25% for 10 turns. What? 25% damage reduction for 10 turns? And if percent damage reduction buff is active, boost the orbs of free spirit and powerhouse by 2 times. Dude, why'd they make this point event unit so broken? I mean, like 5-turn despair removal. I mean, the increased damage taken doesn't matter. That's really good. This is really good. This is odd. And then this is also pretty good. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Sasaki. I think he's pretty solid, and I think he's going to be a pretty nice addition to some of these teams moving forward. But that is going to wrap up this video today. Let me know your thoughts and opinions about Frankie, Brook, Sasaki as well down below in the comment section. When we get the data download for global, I'll provide you guys with another video talking about the rare recruits as well as the breakdown of the Sugo Fest as a whole. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video today, and if you guys did, make sure you go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But on that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.